Hi, now it's time to look at another element called mixer. So I've created this pen that we will have a closer look at. Sorry, let's focus on the HTML section here. So if you followed the previous chapters, you know that we have different elements that we can put inside each other in the XML structure. And we have earlier looked at the chain element, and the chain element sort of takes the audio signal from top to bottom and connects whatever elements is in there and connects the output of that element to the next element's input and so forth. And so let's just have a look at what we have in this chain element. We have a mixer, which is a new thing that we'll focus on, and a bytecode filter and a gain node. So that means that the output of the mixer will be connected to the bytecode filter node's input, and the output of the bytecode filter node will be connected to the gain node's input. And because the gain node is the last element, the output of that element will be connected to the chain, and the chain will be connected to audio, and audio will be connected to my ears through the speakers. And let's focus on the mixer. The mixer is somewhat similar to the audio element, but the audio element is the mandatory sort of main element that has to be there all the time. Mixer is something you can use, and it's kind of opposite to the chain element because it takes everything that's in it and connects it to the output. So it mixes all the different sources we have in the mixer to the output. And that could be used for anything from like this simple example with two oscillators to building like a full mixing console with chains of signal routings inside the mixer. So basically just think about the fundamental concept of having an element that mixes all the sources inside it to its output. So to understand it, I just show you these two oscillators inside the mixer, because they couldn't be in a chain after each other, because you can't connect the output of an oscillator to the input of another oscillator, because the oscillator hasn't got an input in that way. We can control we can modulate the frequency though. That's another thing that we'll look at in another tutorial. But in this example, it takes the output from this oscillator and the output of this oscillator and mix it into the mixer, and the output of the mixer is then connected to the bytecode filter node. So that means that both those oscillators will go through the bytecode filter node. And just to make it very clear that we have two oscillators, I use the follow relative x value. Look at the previous examples if you don't understand this, and I'm mapping it to MIDI values to get like pitches. And if you're familiar with MIDI values, you can see that I'm offsetting this oscillator with 4 semitones compared to this oscillator. So that means I get major thirds running around the screen here. And the filter is controlled following the relative y value of the pointer, mapping the values like this. Okay, so we almost have an instrument